Flash brief. Breaking news. The Middle East is burning on two fronts tonight. A crucial port in the United Arab Emirates has been targeted in a major attack, as former President Donald Trump declares that U.S. bombs have totally obliterated military targets on Iran's key oil island, Kharg. First, the new attack. Iran has just launched a barrage of 9 ballistic missiles and 33 drones towards the UAE. Targets were hit. Oil loading at the critical port of Fujairah has been disrupted, and Iran is now openly warning civilians in the UAE to evacuate specific areas. At the same time, from Washington, Donald Trump issues a direct ultimatum. He says U.S. forces have already destroyed military sites on Iran's Kharg island. And he warns, if shipping through the Strait of Hormuz is threatened, he will hit Iran's oil infrastructure next. The world is on the edge. Let's start with what just happened in the UAE. Iran's Revolutionary Guards, the IRGC, have confirmed they launched this massive strike. The target? They say it's the origin of American enemy missile launches hidden in UAE cities. In other words, U.S. military facilities on Emirati soil. The numbers are staggering. The UAE Ministry of Defense reports 9 ballistic missiles and 33 drones were launched from Iran. This brings the total since the war began to a breathtaking 294 ballistic missiles, 15 cruise missiles, and 1,600 drones fired by Iran. This is not a skirmish. This is a full-blown war. The impact is real. Industry sources tell Reuters that oil loading operations have been suspended in the UAE's Fujairah Emirate. Fujairah is a major global bunkering hub. Ships refuel there. A fire broke out after debris fell during the interception of a drone. The Emirates media office confirms it, but says no injuries were reported. But here is the most chilling part. The IRGC issued a direct warning to civilians in the UAE. They urged residents to evacuate ports, docks, and areas near U.S. military shelters to avoid casualties. This is unprecedented. Iran is essentially telling people to get out of the way because more strikes are coming. Now, to the other front, Kharg Island. This tiny island is the beating heart of Iran's economy. 90% of Iran's oil exports, the lifeblood of the regime, flow from here. And tonight, Donald Trump says U.S. forces have already destroyed its military capabilities. In a social media post, Trump wrote that the U.S. had totally obliterated military targets on the island. But here's the critical detail. The strikes so far have not targeted Kharg's oil infrastructure. It was a military operation. However, Trump paired this with a stark ultimatum. He said, quote, "Should Iran or anyone else do anything to interfere with the free and safe passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, I will immediately reconsider this decision." The message is clear. If you block the strait, we will destroy your oil. Trump also told reporters the U.S. Navy will soon start escorting tankers through the strait. Remember, 20% of the world's oil passes through this narrow waterway. An American naval escort is a massive escalation. It puts U.S. warships directly in the line of fire. So, how is Iran responding? With defiance. Despite the obliterated military targets, a senior provincial governor in Iran insists that oil exports from Kharg Island are continuing normally. They are trying to project strength, to show the world that their economic lifeline is still intact. But behind the scenes, Iran is preparing for more. A defense ministry spokesperson has vowed to increase the use of upgraded weapons, particularly ballistic missiles with greater destructive power. The regime is not backing down. They are doubling down. And they are warning their neighbors. The IRGC has a clear message for Gulf Arab states, especially the UAE. We consider it a legitimate right to defend our national sovereignty by targeting the origin of American enemy missile launches in your cities. In other words, if the U.S. uses your soil, your cities will burn. This puts the Gulf Arab states in an impossible position. Reuters reports that behind the scenes, resentment is mounting in Gulf capitals. They are being drawn into a war they neither initiated nor endorsed, but they are paying for it. Economically and militarily, their ports are on fire. Their cities are under threat. In Dubai, an incident was confirmed at the ICD Brookfield Place, a business center in the heart of the Dubai International Financial Center. Dubai's media office says debris from a successful interception struck a building, but no fire or injuries were recorded. The war has literally arrived in the gleaming towers of Dubai. Beyond the geopolitics, there is a human catastrophe unfolding. Across the region, the death toll is mounting. After 2 weeks of war, at least 2,000 people have been killed. Most are in Iran, but many are in Lebanon, and a growing number are in the Gulf. Several million people have been displaced from their homes. In Lebanon, at least 12 medical personnel were killed in an Israeli strike on a healthcare center. In Iran, reports say at least 12 people were killed in attacks across multiple provinces. And U.S. forces have suffered casualties too, including the deaths of all 6 crew members aboard a refueling aircraft that crashed in western Iraq. All of this is playing out against a backdrop of insane oil market volatility. Prices are swinging wildly on Trump's changing comments about the war's duration. With Kharg Island hit, Fujairah disrupted, and the Strait of Hormuz on the line, the global energy supply is more fragile than it has been in decades. So, what happens next? 3 things to watch. 1. Will Iran make good on its threat to use more powerful weapons? 2. Will the UAE be forced to ask US forces to leave? 3. Will Trump follow through on his threat to hit Iran's oil itself? The next 24 hours will be critical. This is Flash Brief, and this is the reality of March 14th, 2026. A crucial UAE port is under attack. Trump says military targets on Iran's key oil island are obliterated, and he is threatening to go after the oil itself. Civilians are being warned to evacuate. Oil markets are in chaos. This is a rapidly developing story. We are monitoring every second. Subscribe to Flash Brief now and hit the bell. Share this video. The world needs to know what's happening. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. We'll be back with more.